they come. It's X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings radio network and Vikings.com with Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, and I'm Paul Allen. This is courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery, and we're here to analyze this 3-1 team that comes back home noon on KFAN to take on the Chicago Bears. But first, the A topic, at least in my opinion, with the organization, is what happened to rookie Lewis Cine when we were at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where it's okay. So it was a very, very ugly, tragic situation, very emotional when everybody left the bench. And then things got a little slow in the game for you guys because of human nature, I would guess. Then Kirk throws the pick, and it just kind of all tied in. I just kept thinking about that Lewis Cine moment and just what a punch it was for the team. And it's so sad to think that he's still over in England and he might be there for a while. What are your thoughts on this a few days removed?
Yeah, I think you really hit it on the head as far as just in that moment, the momentum our team had really across the board at that point in the game. And then that happens, and, going out there to be with Lou on the field just immediately after the injury was, quite honestly, one of the harder things I've done, since I, became a head coach, and even going back further than that. And, thank goodness there was such great medical care there. I've got nothing but positive things to say about our medical staff, and then obviously the on-site NFL staff that was able to really, what was a serious situation. Anytime there is a fracture of that magnitude that does indeed break the skin, and there's whole levels of, importance to, that immediate care right after that, and a lot of medical terms and medical senses. But what I wanted to do was be there for Lou and just let him know that I was out there with him, and that's not gonna stop till he's right back out on the field, making plays for us. But what I did notice was just our entire team, practice squad, every single guy on our roster coming out to want to at least let Lou know the same thing. And I thought that was a really special moment. And I know Lou, talking to him, late when we got home back to the Twin Cities, I was able to speak with him, and just kind of, it wasn't lost on him, even in that moment with such a catastrophic injury at the time. It wasn't lost on him. He has since, had some, kind of preparatory procedures, and has just kind of gone through the repair surgery as well. When the time's right, I cannot wait to get him back here in this building with us, and ultimately just wrap our arms around him and just let him know that, hey, everything's going to be okay. Yeah. And then we're going to be with him every step of the way on this journey back.
Beautifully stated, my man. To the team, and after the team won, Vikings.com does a wonderful job of capturing Kevin's thoughts with the team in the speech he does and coaches do after games. And you said something that was intriguing to me, that to the team, there will come a time everything becomes situational.
Eventually this thing's going to come together where we're just situational. Let us in tackles. 100th career start for the Minnesota Vikings. Eric,
what does that mean?
It just means that if we just continue to have a laser focus on our execution of all 11, whether we're on offense, defense, or special teams doing their job, then things become situational, understanding how we can manage situations of football games better than our opponent. And that's something that I'm constantly holding myself accountable to. There were some things I could have done better with the clock in that game. There were some things I could have done better, even just putting Kirk in some better situations offensively. I'm always trying to improve and look inward myself so that I could be at my best for our team. And then we hold these guys to a really high standard of what we think it looks like when we're at our at our very best, and where I think we're going. I think it's a real positive that these guys have felt that joy of a victory in a locker room 3 out of 4 times now. Yeah. But what a great opportunity to use that energy and enthusiasm to go coach these guys really hard and just continually get better and better and play our best football when it matters.
Our guest on X's and O's following the head coach Kevin O'Connell is special teams coordinator Matt Daniels. And I mean, seriously, did you find him from the Wild Wild West? It's like I want to nickname him Wyatt Earp. It's something new every single week. That's positive.
Yep.
His energy is infectious. Ben Katwika, who you got from the Falcons.
Yep.
I mean, the addition of these two special teams, man, you know better than anybody. It's underrated until the long snapper messes up or the punter kicks it into the butt of the protector. But it's been terrific, and he's of the aggressive variety, isn't he?
He really is, and why I wanted to bring somebody like Matt in was first and foremost the human being, the energy, the teacher he is. You sit in one of his meetings and you walk out ready to run down on kickoff yourself and go hit somebody.
Yeah.
But then it's the tactical side. You know, we pride ourselves on trying to give these guys answers, trying to give them advantages, prepare them ultimately for the things they're going to see, but also have a toolbox to where they can play fast, fly around. And I think Kwesi deserves a lot of credit as well. Just when you look at the type of players we have in those phases of our special teams, the depth of our roster, that even some of the young players that we've just recently added via the draft, free agency, those things. I think about Brian Asamoah. I think about a guy like Lou who did get hurt running down, covering a kick, and then our specialists and the confidence we have in those guys, combined with some veteran players. Our special teams captain C.J. Ham. Chris Boyd is one of the upper tier gunners in this league, and he's really showing up in other phases.
Troy Dye's playing big.
Troy Dye's playing great.
Yep.
Patrick Jones on kickoff is basically borderline unblockable. So you just look at these units and you say to yourself, I'm not only confident in them to do their job, get us the ball back, win us field position, but they're starting to become a real winning edge for us in their phase. And then Greg Joseph and obviously Ryan Wright having all the confidence in the world that we have in those guys, and I think it's showing up on the grass.
And Matt came from the Dallas Cowboys, where he was the assistant, and they blocked 4 punts.
Yep.
2 went to the house. Tony Pollard gets in from 100 on a kick return, and Dallas is on the schedule this year with you guys here. So I'm thinking, like, you may have to sit down with him early in the week and be like, Matt, 5 fake punts is too much,
Yeah.
if only for one game, but I can't wait to chat with them. Dalvin Tomlinson just seems to be playing, and I'm all 22 guy, but not like a coach. He just seems to be playing at an unbelievably high level. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's absolutely accurate. You see it. You're obviously 100% on, and really it's at this point for us, it's you want him out there every snap because of the impact he's having, and really being a real focal point for our team and how we're building our defense and just improving every single week in certain phases of how we defend. But when you have guys like that in the interior defensive line, it allows you, to really push the limits around him and try to gain edges whenever we can. But bottom line right now in the runner pass game, if he's single blocked, he's going to affect the play and in a real positive way for the Vikings. And cannot say enough about the start he's gotten off to.
You know more about head coaching and coaches than I'll ever know, but I've learned over the years that coaches finding patience can be problematic at times. And we talked about this, I think maybe with the first X's and O's we did, where patience has to be had with a redo with talent,
Yeah.
a 3-4 as a base for the first time here in 40 years, and the different kind of offense, even with a super smart quarterback. Are you seeing that where little things are coming together? Like, we're used to seeing Dalvin run behind CJ year after year after year. Now it's different, but CJ still gets into the game. Jefferson, he has that 2-game run, like 9 catches, 60 yards. Then you find ways to get him open the next game.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating to watch this whole thing develop. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, and I think, we'll continue to use the word consistency to what we do, because if we're able to find that, and more importantly, it's how many times, PA, can we have all 11 of our guys just do their jobs?
Yep.
Maybe it's winning one-on-one matchups. Maybe it's fitting into a concept that allows, an entire play to come to life. I can think back on 5 or 6 plays where you maybe don't catch it in real time, but it's not necessarily the guy with the ball in his hands or the guy we're throwing it to or handing it to. but just tiny little errors from a standpoint of technique, fundamentals, trusting, what we're hunting up on that play on offense, and then defensively understanding alignment, assignment, and then just playing fast and ferocious and competing to the whistle every single snap. We're getting a lot of it. It's what's allowing us to compete and win football games.
Yeah.
But when we get it all the time and we hold these guys to that standard day in and day out, and the best part about it is right now, I bet I had 10 players on that pretty long flight that we were on the other night come up to me on the flight and just say, hey, it just feels so good to win these games, knowing that our best football is out in front of us. And that's our leadership talking. That's our younger players, more established players. They have the mindset that I was hunting when I first walked in the door here. Now we just continue to improve and see just where we can take this thing.
And I'm sure you watched every play from last season, maybe even 2 or 3 times. So you saw those 8 games, all of those games. Kirk's lights out the final 4 minutes of every one of those games, but we're losing them for just weird reasons. And, this year, the crossbar and the upright are there. And, the situation against the Lions, you don't prefer to come back from 2 scores at home. We've heard the building quiet before, and it's gone the wrong way. And, that plays into the fascination with this season, at least from my standpoint, Kevin. The double doink with Will Lutz from 61. Well, it's the first time you've seen something like that as the head coach. And he nailed the 60. Did you think the 61 was going in?
I did. I was already most of the time leading up to that. I took obviously a timeout there to at least not let him get another practice swing. So I'm standing over there trying to gauge when I'm going to take that timeout to try to make sure he doesn't get the practice swing, but also to try to ice him a little bit. Obviously, he struck it true. I watched him through warm-ups hit from 65 a couple times there. That was one of the reasons why at the end of the first half, I was extra sensitive to give them the football back at all once we forced that turnover on the strip sack. So when I looked at it, I expected it to go in, and we were ready to go try to win that football game in overtime. And it just would have been another chapter of this team kind of dealing with just different types of adversity, relying on each other, and doing whatever it takes to win a football game.
Last one, I know you're in short time. Roquan Smith, their man in the middle these days, Justin Fields, the Bears. Just what's your overview?
I think they're a well-coached football team with, talented players, just like you mentioned. There's a whole lot of, a lot more than just Justin and Roquan. But I think Justin, I've always been a fan of his game, where he's headed in this league. I think he's being really coached well. I've seen some real growth out of him on tape from last year to this year. And then Roquan's always been, in my opinion, one of the premier inside linebackers in this league. We've played some really good ones so far this year. And he's right up there with those guys. And just his ability to impact the game. He shows up in the run game. He somehow is so instinctive and all over the place in the pass game. And then he's a really good blitzer. So they have some real fits with scheme-wise and player-wise with how they want to play. And you just see them play incredibly hard. And there's a lot of grit and toughness to this team. So we're going to have to play really well. We're going to need our home fans, as always, at US Bank to do what they've done 2 times this year, which was, will us to a couple different kind of victories, but will us to get it done. And then when we have, it's been a heck of a feeling that we want to get back.
And Darnell Mooney is another one of those receivers from the 2020 receiver draft. You got Justin, KJ, and Rager, and he's quite good too. Best of luck. Keep everybody healthy, and thank you.
Thank you, PA.
Kevin O'Connell, coach of the Minnesota Vikings, X's and O's, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery, continues with special teams coordinator Matt Daniels on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network.